Today, you are launching the national tourism policy in the context of a national mood of anxiety, particularly in relation to the performance of our economy. And this is happening 1 year down the line from 31st July 2013, which concluded an outstanding political contest between the country's main political players. Today, therefore, Your Excellency, Madam Vice President, is an appropriate day to reassert confidence that government remains resolute in delivering a prospering economy, and that, in fact, in the words of His Excellency, our President, over the weekend, and I quote him, the economy is recovering, a statement received with mixed feelings by our circumspect population and media in the last few days. As it seems, anyone who signposts recovery of the economy today, whether in whole or in part or sectorally, has been dismissed with gross disdain, is either disconnected to the suffering of the people or as a dreamer. It seems our population is content with pessimism and would rather dig further inside the hole dug for us by our detractors. If it is an opportunity beckoning, they would rather pass it to a neighbor state than seize it themselves. This disposition is characteristic of a people whose defenses have been shattered or are in ruins, and I intend immediately, Your Excellency, to demonstrate how, from our sectoral point of view, we can begin to rebuild the walls and start believing again that yes, we can and are and will overcome hardship and cross over to prosperity. The Egypt in our minds, if I make reference to the Bible, must give way to Canaan and bend down barriers of servitude, and self-pity must give way to self-belief and the conquering spirit. In our tradition, if you tie a goat to a tree, even when you free it, it has difficulty in grazing outside the circumference to which it was bound in bondage. And it is this mentality, Your Excellency, that we need to deal with. Nehemiah in the Old Testament was deeply troubled by the state of despair and anguish of his people, symbolized by the state of war of Jerusalem lying in ruins. A strong wall then represented security, sovereignty, and national pride. Without walls, there would be no gates, no trade, no nation. Inspired to restore and reconstruct the wall, Nehemiah's vision met with scorn and great disdain from Sanballat, Tobias, and Geshem. And today, Your Excellency, in our midst, in this country, we have many amongst us who symbolize this spirit of Sanballat, Tobias, and Geshem. That what Nehemiah sought to do was impossible, and that is rebuilding the wall in just under 60 days. What started as scorn turned to conspiracy. He was soon accused of disrespect, disobedience, and rebellion. And when this failed to pull him down, the resistance was upgraded to outright hostility, and after commandeering Israel, he finished the war in a record 56 days, but guess what? With a trowel in one hand and a spear in the other. If we have set our minds on rebuilding, on recovery, we must do so unabated. Everything becomes a dream until implementation commences. Policy launches are dreams, and will remain dreams until we start doing something, acting or implementing. And Your Excellency, herein lies the biggest mischief in our midst today: implementation, or the lack of it. I have a dream, and a dream for the tourism sector. And my dream is that by year 2020, Zimbabwe tourism economy shall post $5 billion in economic receipts. And I align this dream to our Vision 2020 implemented within the context of ZIMASET. This dream is as big as the current size of our total annual country budget of $4.4 billion, as presented by the Minister of Finance on the 20th of December 2013. If you want to live longer, you must dream bigger than your current size, so that God can give you a longer life to see your dreams through. Your Excellency, I have many, and I quote them, I have many over my dead body friends who never lived to see their dreams because they spoke the impossible, they spoke cases, and they spoke despair. Like all target setting processes, I hereunder outline my assumptions and wish list for the tourism economy that I see in 2020. Your Excellency, our tourism performance shall henceforth be set at 30% of the performance of the Republic of South Africa's tourism economy. In tourism, we talk about benchmarks. The Republic of South Africa is our benchmark. And I wish to share with you that South Africa today is turning over $12 billion in its tourism economy from 10 million arrivals per annum. We are currently receipting as Zimbabwe just under $1 billion from 1.872 million arrivals. Your Excellency, by 2020, we forecast the Republic of South Africa's tourism economy to be exceeding $16 billion, going to $20 billion, based on their current growth strategies, which I'm fully aware of. But what pains me the most as Minister steering this sector is that apartheid South Africa and Rhodesia had a closer tourism relationship between its then white citizens than the one that we have between the blacks of independent Republic of South Africa and Zimbabwe today. Even in the thick of the war, tourists would be escorted to Rhodesia and Lorenzo Max, now Maputo, for a holiday. We need to speak, Your Excellency, politically to these markets beyond the initiative of industry and our tourism authorities. We need to interrogate why, at the least, 30% of the Republic of South Africa's bona fide 9.9 million international tourists do not take the extension visit to what used to be the 10th tourism province, Rhodesia. Is it the lack of a tourist visa that eliminates the need for an unnecessary transit visa and unnecessary cost to the tourist? Is it our poor product offerings and their pricing, or brand perceptional issues that we need to address to tap into this obvious opportunity? We are going, Your Excellency, we are going to need political engagement beyond the diplomatic niceties captured in our routine memorandum of understanding between us and the Republic of South Africa. Because today South Africa is responsible for 70% of the traffic that comes into this country. There was clearly a deliberate political effort, Your Excellency, and affirmative policy to keep Rhodesia alive during its biting sanctions. And Beitbridge border post was designed then to be responsive to this market. Even the roadblocks and checkpoints were friendly to that traffic for the intended purpose of supporting Rhodesia. Is it the case today, as history repeats itself with independent Zimbabwe under sanctions, that philanthropic tourism visit by the South African black middle class, or assisting international arrivals to the extent that their visit to sister Zimbabwe is understood between, first and foremost, our revolutionary parties, ANC and ZANU-PF, as a sanctions-busting visit that should help a a sisterly state in need. Equally, Your Excellency, I wish to challenge our system that does this thinking interpret itself in government today, in government dialogue, in the old frontline state spirit of helping enable states. My appeal, dear patron, is that let us upgrade our dialogue to this level, not just with the Republic of South Africa, but with my second case study, China and other countries. China has raised a middle class of 300 million. 100 million people of which are doing outbound travel, spending a whopping $140 billion at an average spend rate of $1,500 per visit. We should negotiate and persuade and demand from our all-weather friends that by 2020, 5% of their outbound travel should be coming our way. If we commence next year, Your Excellency, with a target of just 0.5% of this 100 million, it will translate into 1 million visitors and receipts of $750 million into our country. Currently, China is in the most difficult of visa categories. They are in category C in our visa regime. Category C means that they have to obtain their visas in China before they embark on the trip here. And they must do that in Beijing, only in Beijing, as continental a size as China looks today. Now, it's very interesting that they've loaned us $150 million for the Victoria Falls Airport. And I thank them for that. But ahead of the completion of this airport, which is scheduled for June 2015, we as a government, us as the tourism sector, our facilitators, transport and infrastructure, who are responsible for signing bilateral air service agreements and implementing them, we must set a target for them that all the 9 provincial airlines that operate from China and more should be signed up to land at that new air traffic hub that we shall call the Victoria Falls Airport. In addition to Harare and Bulawayo, a size as China.